Got another round of Q&A questions, this time taking advantage of some downtime here at Montserrat. I'm on the lookout point right now, which when you get up to Montserrat and get dropped off by a car, it's one of the first places that you have to go. You can see the mountain behind me, and if you've never been here, it is definitely worth a visit. But what we're going to do is we're going to get into some of the questions that you have brought up and that you've left either on the channel, on Instagram, or in different places, trying to answer some of these subscriber-based questions for you. And we've got the first one from Lisa. Great information, but the music could be worlds better. Why not an acoustic guitar solo from a Barcelona artist instead of insipid selection of robotic soulless electronica? Now, this one was actually left on a video that I made years ago at this point about the Hospital of St. Paul, which is a beautiful modernist hospital that if you're in the city definitely should be on your list of places to go. And I 100% agree, and I think it's really funny because I've gotten a lot of these comments, and if you go down to the comments of that video, a lot of them are about the music. Even though that the information is really good, the music is not so great. I would 100% agree, and hopefully you think that the videos have gotten better since 2020. Now, realistically, the Hospital of St. Paul was really my first video, especially in the Is It Worth It series, where I thought, maybe using a little bit of music, free music, no copyright music, to get it a little bit more speedy and moving would be a little bit better. I think in the last couple of years I've learned that we can use some other better music for all of those beautiful, beautiful sceneries that they have going on inside of the hospital that would go a little bit better with that modernist motif. But I don't know, you guys, let me know with a comment below if you think the videos have gotten better, and go back and watch that video about the hospital and let me know what you think, kind of where I've come from since then. Steve is back with another question, and I know he's coming back a little bit later in the year. We met last year on a tour. He wants to know if he wants to keep up on current events, news, sports, and culture. What sources online would I recommend? Well, outside of the channel, there's a bunch of different things that you can go and look at. One website that's actually in English, all things Barcelona and Catalonia, is Catalan News, which they do a really good job just kind of covering almost everything. You've also got different Instagram sources like Barcelona Secreta or Time Out that do a lot of kind of reels and shorts and things that really get a lot of the basic current events that you're looking for out. Apart from that, you've got all sorts of different newspapers. El País, for more of all of Spain, actually has an English part and an English page that they do a lot of different things that are going on in Spain as a whole. So you can check some of those things out, but those are some of the things that I turn to just to see and kind of keep tabs on different things that are happening now and then. Beth asks, are 16-year-olds allowed to take sips or have their own cups of wine at tapas bars or restaurants as long as we, the parents, are with them? The rules in Spain are that you have to be 18 years old to drink. It's not maybe in some of those other places where you have that option of having the parents there and they can allow them to drink a little bit. When we're talking about sips and things like that, I'm always going to go with the rules and let you know what is legal, what is not. 18 is the rule to drink. I don't know who's really going to stop you if you're inside a bar and you allow your 16-year-old to take a sip of wine or something like that. But honestly, my recommendations always have to be legally what is allowed. And no, you have to be 18 to drink. Ramon and Zoe, I'm assuming as well, have asked about how many days can we spend in Zaragoza? Can we go in one day from Barcelona and return? Zaragoza, if you haven't seen my video about some of the things that you can do over there, is an incredible city, one that I always think is definitely worth getting over to and checking out if you have a couple days or anything. When I made that video, I actually stayed there for an entire week as it was the festivals and I was kind of just walking around and taking advantage of everything. But it's a place that is so much fun. It's got some great architecture, a really cool vibe to the city. They've got a place called El Tubo, which has some awesome tapas bars all on top of each other, where you really get that awesome vibe over there, and some really, really good food. So I would say, if you have 2-3 days, something like that, you could probably cover most of the things that you need to do. But in terms of this question, can you go in one day and back? It's actually something that I've looked into and I wanted to see if maybe people were interested in doing it. Train-wise, if you take those fast trains that connect Barcelona and Madrid, you've got Zaragoza right in the middle. So a trip over to Zaragoza is just over an hour, so it really isn't something that you couldn't do. You can definitely do it, but while I was looking for trains and timings, I don't know how those timings really work in terms of coordinating. It would probably be a long day, just like I did when I went all the way over to Madrid, which was obviously even further. But it's definitely something that you could do to get there and back in a day. But I think with the tapas scene and everything that they have over in Zaragoza, it's definitely something that you might want to spend the night at. Christian asks, are there lockers for my belongings? Now, if you're coming over to Barcelona, maybe you don't have some time or need to get out of your hotel before you get on your plane, and you still have a couple hours left or anything like that, you want to leave a backpack, you want to leave a suitcase or anything, you've got a lot of different options. The one that I always recommend are just Barcelona lockers right over in the Plaza Catalunya, which makes it really easy to get back to central spot where you can get onto the Aerobus, any of the metros or anything like that. And I think for normal kind of size backpack or even just like the hand luggage, it's only $4.50 for the entire day. They're open from about 9 to 9, and you can leave those bags in there. If you leave them overnight, it's going to be a little bit more, and those bigger lockers are going to cost a little bit more as well. But you've got those there. You've also got some options over in the Sants train station, which, those big points of meeting places or anything where you might want to get out to other parts of the city, those are really where those are going to be. So in Plaza Catalunya, Sants Estació, that's Sants metro station, or Sants train station just in general, you've got those two big ones. But in terms of going over into the beach, this is a question I get a lot of times, going over to the beach, and if you have lockers or things, I don't think there's that many options. I haven't found any. I did see online that there are some options for getting one of those services that makes a deal with a store, and then you leave your bags there while the store watches it, and you can go back and you can pay by the hour or by the day or anything like that. I don't know how much you personally would trust those, but that is one of those options. I did it one time in Boston. It worked out all right, but it is kind of sketchy to leave it in the middle of a convenience store and just have everybody else have access to that. But those are probably some of those options over at the beach, because you don't want to leave your stuff on the sand by yourself. You can ask somebody else to watch it if you trust somebody, but you don't want to leave those things out on the beach, because that's where a lot of things can get taken. Caroline is asking another one of these travel questions. I got quite a few this time, which is really good to kind of help people plan and make some different arrangements and things. But she says, hi Patrick, we would be in Barcelona during the last week of August, and we'd be spending a couple of days to Sitges before heading back home to the USA. I'm hoping you could help me to catch the bus Garraf from Passeig de Gràcia to Sitges. I was told to take the bus and get off at Parc Can Robert, but I don't even know where to catch the bus. How do I know if this bus is going to Sitges? Please help me. Thanks a million in advance. Now the Garraf bus does go over to Sitges, and like it says here, it leaves from the top of Passeig de Gràcia with Diagonal, right at that intersection basically is where you can go over and catch it. It does get over to Sitges. Garraf is actually just one of those stops on the train before. One of the things that I would definitely recommend is taking the train down to Sitges. I think it's going to be a lot easier. There are a lot more kind of offerings in terms of getting over there, and the difference in time and price really isn't that bad. One of the things that I've done is I've done an entire video all about how to get over to Sitges with that train, so you can definitely check that out, and it's a better option than taking the bus to get on over there. Got some more trip planning questions here. Two of these are going to be quite similar, so I'm going to try to combine them because one of them almost helps answer the other. If you had 10 days in December to vacation in Spain and wanted to include Barcelona on your itinerary, what other cities would you include, and how would you divide up those 10 days? But we've also got another one that says, I'm planning on going to Spain later in the year. I had in mind to go to Madrid, Seville, and Barcelona. It would only be for 10 days. Was looking at 3 days in each Madrid and Seville, and then 4 days in Barcelona. What are your thoughts? Should I do 3 places or should I do 2 and spend more time in Barcelona? Thanks in advance, and thanks for the tips. So with each of these trips being 10 days, you can kind of use the itinerary from the second question to help with that first as well. And I think actually a trip of Madrid, Barcelona, and Sevilla would all be a really nice way to see different parts of the country. But one of the things that, and we brought it up even here, is if you want to spend more time in those places, should we limit it to just 2? And if you're going to limit it to 2, then I think Barcelona and Madrid are the 2 that are probably the best options that you have. Going down to Sevilla and sticking in a couple days is pretty easy. If you get over to Madrid and then take a train down there, you can find some faster trains to get over there than if you were coming from Barcelona, where you'll probably have to take a flight or anything. Another option would be going from Barcelona to Valencia. And then instead of going to Seville, you've got Barcelona, Valencia, and Madrid, which are also some really, really great options. But I think an option of Madrid, Sevilla, and Barcelona, keeping in mind those days of 4, 3, and 3 would be really nice. But also, if you just did Barcelona and Madrid and you did 5 and 5, what you can do is you can take advantage of the things that are in Barcelona and Madrid in 2-3 days, and also do some day trips, like coming over here to Montserrat if you're in Barcelona. That's one of those day trips, or getting over to places like Girona. And from Madrid, you can even use the mornings and get around to places that are closer, like Toledo, Segovia, and even if you want to get over to the Valley of the Fallen or different palaces that are right outside of the city, it could be a really nice option. But I think those options that you've recommended of getting around to those 3 or just splitting it up into those 2 are both great options and ones that you can do pretty easily. And then we've got another question. Hello, Patrick. Your videos are so helpful. What is the best option, travel way, train, car, etc. for Figueres, Girona from Barcelona, 5 adults and 2 children? So we've got yet another question about planning out those trips. If you're going over to just Girona, my recommendation is always to take the fast train. You can get there in about 38 minutes for a really good price. Right now, it's about $13.90 each way. So you can get into Girona in absolutely no time for pretty cheap. That same train is actually going to be the next stop is always Figueres, and that takes about 45 minutes to get over to Figueres. But I think taking that fast train, getting to Girona, and then going to Figueres, or going to Figueres and then getting back on the train and going down to Girona to go back to Barcelona becomes a little bit of a mess. If you're planning on doing both of those in one day, 5 adults, 2 kids, or just kind of in general, one of the things that I would look into is just getting a car. You can get a private chauffeured car that'll take you to both of those places, and you can sit back and relax. You don't have to worry about too much of those things that are going on. Or you can rent a car and basically do it on your own time. Renting a car, not too bad over here, and it's one great way to get around and do some of those day trips as well. For a lot of those questions, especially those that are helping to plan ahead of time and get around outside of Barcelona or get around to other parts of the country, I've got a lot of videos that answer some of those questions or similar ones. But if you do have any other questions, in the next Q&A video, I'll be taking some more rounds of questions to help you get better prepared for that next trip and make the most out of your time here.